I'm your host, Amitoj, and this is We Went to Miami. Welcome, Kayla Carson, to the show. Today I've got our dear guest, Kayla, and let me tell you a little bit about her before we get into our conversation today. Kayla is a 2018 Miami grad from Dayton, Ohio, but has lived in Atlanta almost 5 years. She resides in Old Fourth Ward as a new homeowner. Congratulations, Kayla. We're going to have to talk about that.
Thank you.
At Miami U, she studied management and leadership with a minor in Spanish. Post-grad, Kayla has served in a variety of HR roles, from compensation to HR operation to talent acquisition. Outside of work, Kayla loves reading, hosting, volunteering at a church, playing tennis, traveling, and occasionally hosting speed dating events around Atlanta. Kayla, you do it all. Welcome to the show.
I try. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
That's okay. So I have to ask.
Yeah.
Occasionally host speed dating. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes. So I believe I started my speed dating events in 2022, and it really felt like a response to the desire people were having to bring back in-person events, right? Like we had gone through the shutdown in 2020, extreme caution in 2021. And then in 2022, it's kind of feeling like, okay, where the people at, right? And so
Yeah.
I started doing speed dating events. I felt like, especially in romantic circles, people had just kind of been reduced to meeting people virtually and on apps, and like they were craving this in-person
It's rough out
experience.
here.
It's hard. And so I got some feedback from my friends, and I figured, let me just try one. Like, let me see if I can just do one event and get people to show up to it, because one of the reasons I love Atlanta and one of the reasons I moved here, it just feels like anything is possible here. I mean, you'll hear people say all the time, Atlanta's not a real place. And it even made me feel like I could come to Atlanta and put on an event and get 25, 26 people to show up.
That's
and I
awesome.
did. So it was really fun, and I think I did maybe 10 events between 2022 and 2024.
No
We'll have to
way. That's
see if
awesome.
that's on the, thank you. We'll have to see if that's on the slate for 2025. Nunca sabe. Nobody knows.
Well, and now I've got to ask, are you like friend of the year? Because if I went to one of my friends, which I do very often, and I'm like, girl, it's rough out here, and they were like, hold my keys, let me just go make a
Right.
speed dating event for you. Or, I mean, are they all just like so grateful? And like, did
That's
any
funny.
couples come out of that yet?
Yes, some couples did come out of it.
Whoa, that's awesome.
I know, it was pretty cool. My friends, they were, my friends were very helpful with speed dating, and they would like help me facilitate and shift the guys around and like mingle with people. But yeah, it was just like a fun thing that we did together. So, I mean, I loved it. It was also for me too, right? Like, let's be so serious. But yeah, it was just a fun way to meet new people, and I absolutely loved it.
I love that. And this is me going so off script, but like I'm trying to connect the dots of your story here, Kayla. Do
Yeah.
you think being an HR professional weirdly sets you up well to also run like matchmaking events?
That's a great question. I do think that I interview well. So I'll say that. And what is dating except like a fun, different spin on an interview?
All right.
And so I think that I just have like a great rapport with people. Like, I'm going to try to make a connection with you. And I do think that that is something that is beneficial in my career, where I'm making connections with people, building cross-functional teams, and trying to, move work forward. Especially now I'm focusing on trying to become a project manager, and that skill set is all about collaboration and all about your relationships. So I like to think that my just like natural affinity towards connectivity has helped me in both of those spaces.
I love that. And as a girl boss myself, I feel like you're giving hope for other girl bosses because I don't know, I feel like often you hear like sometimes it's like extra hard to date when you are, someone who's like
Yeah,
very much on their career stuff. And so hearing that like no, it kind of is like a superpower if you put in the right perspective, I think is
for sure.
helpful. And I'm giggling for our audience who's just like, where in the world did she take this episode? So let me spin it back to actually your HR career that I haven't even
Yeah.
gotten into yet. Um, Kayla, where do you work? Because it's really cool
hmm
and I think everyone's going to be excited. And walk me through your career journey thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently I do work for the Coca-Cola company. Here in Atlanta, Georgia. I work in our talent and development space, which I really, really am enjoying. My career started off at Macy's. They had a management trainee program for HR, which I went into and rotated through some different functions, eventually becoming a campus recruiter at Macy's. I love that role, love that company. That role became 100% remote. And I was like, I really want to go into the office like a weirdo. Like, I want to socialize. I
No, I
want to
respect
have that
it.
experience. Yeah, so I then applied and became a campus recruiter at McKinsey and Company. I was there for about a year, and then actually a Miami connection led me to being at the Coca-Cola company, and so I'm coming up on 2 years here in the summer.
And I love how you breeze through like, oh, and then I casually worked for McKinsey for a year. Three incredible companies, Kayla. That's just
Thank you.
awesome.
Yes.
Um, and so when you graduated, and I know you graduated with management and leadership,
Mhm.
was the vision always HR, or like how did we get there?
The vision was definitely HR. And it's funny because I figure I'll just be super honest about how things happened. When I came out of high school, I did not have a strong opinion on my career. And I'm the kind of person that like looks to their parents for things. Like I feel like, a lot of people in high school, they don't want to hear what their parents have to say at all. But me, I was like, Dad, what should I do in college? And so my dad is like, you should major in marketing and then you should minor in Spanish. And I was like, okay. So I went in business undecided, but after I took entry marketing and entry management and leadership, I was like, I want to do management and leadership. And so that was the route that I chose. And I had an interest in HR that grew once I started to really study the trends of the space and study like the principles of what's going to make a good HR program. And then once I started to take internships, it really started to form into something that really just piqued my curiosity.
That's so interesting. And while you were on campus, what did your extracurriculars look like? What were you doing when you weren't in the classroom?
Oh my gosh, that list is so long. So I will talk about the
I feel like that's like
main
the
things.
Miamian response of like, where do I
Yeah.
start?
I know. Like there's so many things that I loved about Miami. I was involved with Bridges program, right? Like I love that having the high school
That's
students sleep
awesome.
over. I was involved with the Miami Ambassadors Creating Change, which was through the Office of Admission. I was involved as an RA, so in the scholar leader community, and that was really cool experience as well. I had a job at Dividends, right, in FSB so that I could like wake up
No
early, go to
way.
work, and
Okay.
then go to class and then go back to work because it was so funny. They would have these like 2 hour shifts. So I would work from like 6 to 8 and then go to class from like 8 to 11 and then work like 12 to 2. And it was just so funny. But I would say some of the most impactful experiences I had on campus were being part of the student credit union, one of three student led credit unions in the country at the time, being involved in the government relations network, and then also, oh my gosh, what was the third thing? Well, the third thing is actually post grad. It's the Alumni Association Board of Directors.
That's awesome. And for our audience who may not be super familiar, do you want to talk a little bit more about what being on the board looked like for you post grad?
So, really enjoyed the Miami University Alumni Association Board of Directors. I was nominated to join the board by my previous manager at Macy's, who was a Miami alum. So, shout out to Andy
Oh,
Tyree.
wow.
So, he had nominated me to join because he saw that I had, the passion for Miami and I was pretty active as an alum and I loved it, right? And so he nominated me, and then I moved to Atlanta and they loved that, right? Because so many of our alums stay in Ohio. So they were like,
Yeah.
oh, we got an alum in the South. But it was great because the board of directors for the Alumni Association is just there to offer outside perspectives, offer to give feedback, to just help them launch the programs that they're trying to launch and have a really supportive base. It helped me to get more involved with the Atlanta alumni chapter. I was able to be a part of the first Love and Honor weekend, which took place here in Atlanta. And then I just built some great
Oh, that's so cool.
relationships, right? Like I got a great mentor out of it, like Kristen Saranteas, who I just enjoy and appreciate so much. And like kind of low key have her to thank for my job at Coke. So it's just a great experience. One for me, I
That's
felt like just
incredible.
learning from other people how to ask great questions and how to really, provide thought partnership. And so that was just great for me.
Thought partnership. I mean, that term just immediately stood out to me when you just shared that because I think Like, I love the way that you phrase that, and I think our audience could really benefit from you explaining that a bit more and like what the phenomenon of thought partnership is.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking the other day, like some of my favorite corporate expressions, because I feel like there are so many funny ones. Like, we really need your thought leadership on this. Like, we would love to have your thought partnership. Thought partnership is just working together, right? Thought partnership is you bringing the skills that you're really good at to a team that is looking to leverage those skills, right? And so, someone that works in fundraising, helping the board to understand what are some of the themes and ideas we can use for our like $1 billion campaign, our endowment campaign, or when they're trying to launch Love and Honor Weekend and they have people who live all across the country, how can we get you guys invested in going to Atlanta for a weekend in February? And so, really, just asking lots of questions to the board of directors and then asking them to ask questions back is what the thought partnership looked like.
I love that. And for our listeners, I didn't even know this when I reached out to Kayla for this interview, but when we were chatting as we were getting set up, I joined the Miami Alumni Board of Directors summer of 2023 or maybe fall of 2023. And Kayla rolled off that summer. So she probably saw my resume in there, but Kayla, like
Which stood out.
most normal people, got nominated and, went through the due process of being on the board, was a weirdo. And I reached out probably a month after I graduated and was like, I see an opening. I want to apply. And most people don't try to do that straight graduation. So I had to contact them and be like, hey, class of 2023 isn't even like on the applicable grad year list. Like, am
Right.
I allowed to apply for this or not? And so we missed each other just by a hair, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize we had that in common. So that's really cool to know. And you did a great job of not only explaining just thought leadership itself, but how you realize for applying that on the board as well. And I didn't even make the connection about the first Love and Honor weekend being in Atlanta. I'm
Yeah,
assuming you were in attendance. Kayla, how'd it go?
for sure. I absolutely loved it, right? Like, I, have an affinity towards my alma mater.
Yeah.
And so I'm always repping, and the fact that they were able to be here was fantastic. And they brought out so many alum that, of course, I had no idea were here. And so it was just such a cool experience meeting people from all different grad years, all different career areas, all different walks of life. Some people are from Georgia, some people are from Ohio and just relocated here. I really enjoyed it. I loved the Black alumni events where we just got together and networked. It was fun, right? Like, it was so fun. And I wish that I could have been in Austin this year when they had it, but definitely want to make it a priority to try to go to Love and Honor Weekend because it just is such a great way to feel the Love and Honor vibes somewhere that is warm.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm going to my first alumni weekend this year, and so I'm
Nice,
really
nice.
excited. But I am trying to make it to 11 Honor Weekend. They seem really fun, and like
Yeah,
I tell myself I'm not going to feel FOMO, and then everyone goes, and I'm like, here we are,
right. I
like
should have
looking
been
at
there.
everyone's Instagram pictures, being like, no, literally being like, oh, that looked like a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
I love that. But let me get back on track with your career and us actually chatting about the insanely cool things you do. Being an HR professional, I would be remiss to
Hmm.
not ask you. You've managed talent development programs.
Hmm.
What advice do you have for the young professionals, the Gen Zers, or honestly just general Miami grads? How
Yeah.
can you stand out in a market that is hyper saturated right now?
Of course, have a great resume. And then also just understanding the power of those human connections that we can make. Really just being able to explain how you can add value, the things you're looking to do, the skills you're looking to build. I think it can all be captured by this concept of storytelling. Like, you need to be able to take people along on your career journey. You need to be able to like world build well enough that people can see you on their team and that people can see themselves working with you. One of the things I find, and I guess I'm thinking of this mostly through the lens of like talent acquisition, but I know a lot of people are looking for jobs or want new jobs. One of the things that I've been keeping in mind in that process is that you have to speak the language like of your hiring manager. That requires you to do research, right? And so really just going beyond the basics and trying to make sure that you understand so thoroughly another space. So the storytelling skills. And then once you have that job, what people want to see from their teammates is someone that's flexible and someone that's helpful. It's going to go back to the soft skills every time because what can be taught will be taught. But if you come to the table and you have zero flexibility and people don't feel like they can ask you for anything, or they don't feel like you explain things well, like they can't get a good, explanation out of you, it'll be hard for you to advance in your career and continue to build a brand that makes people excited to work with you. So I would say developing storytelling skills and then being someone that's flexible and helpful. Just let that be part of your identity, and that will help to just catapult your career.
I love that. And I think, especially the point of having a personal brand, I feel like especially young professionals are scared to start creating their brand. And I don't know if it's fear of having a brand feels permanent, but at what point do you feel like you really started owning your personal brand, Kayla? And has it grown and evolved post grad till now?
That's a good question. I do think that this was something I started in undergrad. But the thing about a personal brand, you can go through a rebrand as many times as you need. And I was
100%.
just telling some students from Georgia Tech or Georgia State that were at Coke, you can have as many careers as you want, right? Like you can work in one
Yeah.
industry, flip, work in another, flip, do another thing, right? And so I just think what's important is that you go all in on what you're doing at that moment, right? Like, don't be scared to go all in case it's the wrong route. There are people who spent their whole lives working at Blockbuster. That don't mean they can't get a job somewhere else, right? Like, you can't be afraid to just
Yep.
go all in on something. So I feel like I was building my brand even in college with the relationships that I was building, the networking that I was doing at companies. I even like it's funny because I spent so much time in the career center. I think the Student Career Center for Success, something like that. And they
Absolutely
had
same.
1 year, yeah, they had 1 year that they had a elevator pitch contest, and I won it, right? And I think I got like a two
That's
hundred dollar
awesome.
check or like a $300 check, and I was like, it goes back to that storytelling, right? Like if I can wrap up who I am in 1 minute and be this really really strong communicator, that's going to get me so far. And I feel like that is still something that I get positive feedback on to this day. Is like, Kayla, your communication is a strong suit. You're so organized. Like, people enjoy working with you. So
I love that. And not to reference like this pop culture quote, but I think it's a quote from Euphoria, and it's Maddie knew who she was from a very young age. And I feel like you really like what I mean? Like I feel like you like from the start knew who you were, and I love that. And honestly, I relate to that because like I too like very much used undergrad. Wow, words are hard. I too used undergrad as just a time to really build out who I already knew who I was.
yeah.
What advice do you have for someone who may, graduate and just be like, whoa, I feel late to the party? Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
like, I didn't do that. What can I do now? Or even someone who, let's say, had an early career, mid 30s, and is now pivoting and realizes maybe they don't really know what their brand is. How do you start understanding your strengths?
Yeah, that is a great question. How do you start understanding your strengths? That I would say look to your community, right?
I
I
love that.
can't take credit for this idea. I heard this from a speaker at some conference, but it was the same vein of like, how do I find out what I'm good at? And it was asking like 5 to 10 people that you're close to, what is something that I do better than like anybody else in the world, or what's something that you
I
would
love
trust
that.
me to do better than anybody else in the world, right? Because it's a new framing. It's not just like, what career skills do you think that I excel in, right? Like it can be something silly and it could still teach you something about yourself, right? Maybe somebody has like the best cookie recipe in the world, but little does that person know how much experimentation, how many thrown out batches, how many burnt cookies they had to go through to get there. And it shows tenacity. So even though they would say your best skill in the world is like you make the best chocolate chip cookie, it points to your tenacity and your curiosity. So you still get to the skills that way. So I would say turn into your community and then seeing what they have to say about you. We also know that we are like a conglomeration of the 5 people we spend the most time with, right? So how do those folks have an impact on you? Look at what you see in them that you might have noticed yourself picking up is just another way. So I would say that's what I would point someone to if they were trying to figure out their best skills.
There's so many gems in that, and I'm like, even just trying to figure out how I would even like I'm like, which one do I jump on first? But I think what two things stood out to me a ton, which I would say the first one being community, and I love that you highlighted like when you don't know, like lean on your people. And I feel like we're at a point just in the world where like people forget to do that. And like
Yeah.
I think either you're like with it and you're in sync with your community and you're like you've been leaning on them, or you've been in this state of fear to like pull the
Hmm.
trigger and lean on them. And so I love that, part of your message was like you need to be asking the people around you because they know. And I actually had never heard that you're a conglomerate of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but that makes so much sense. And now I'm like just giggling to myself, like happily knowing that I'm like 1/5 my best friend, two
Yeah.
fifths
Yeah.
my parents, and like fourth my sibling. Like I love
Yeah.
that. And also to your point of where you're like, having the clout of, you've got the best cookies, that also comes with everything you had to do to get there. And the burnt cookie part of that analogy is phenomenal because I think, for lack of better terms, when we're in a flop era, we forget that this is like part of something bigger, and
Right.
like
It's part of the
something that's gonna
process.
like something that you're gonna talk about in an interview, or something that you're gonna prove like, hey, I burnt a kitchen down one day, but it taught
Yeah.
me a ton. And
Yeah.
that's how I found where I'm at now. And so I think that's just incredible pieces of wisdom for our audience almost. And so kind of in that vein,
Hmm.
you've mentioned you're wanting to do project management. You've done your career in HR and you're still staying in HR, but you're trying to add a new skill set, it seems, to like your wheelhouse. How did you know that was what you wanted to add, and how'd you go about it?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
So I have been asked many, many times, what do I want to do next? What do I want to do with my career? I have been blessed and fortunate to have so many great mentors and so many great managers that have all wanted to help be a part of my story, but they couldn't write it. Like it's my career to write. And so it caused me to look inwardly, and I really just started to piece together my favorite parts of what I'd already experienced, right? So I knew that when I worked at Macy's in that rotational program, I loved having a new gig like every 8 to 10 months. That was fantastic. You get new
Yep.
responsibilities, new team manager, new challenges, and I really enjoyed just the freshness of the work. So I knew that that was something that I appreciated. I'm constantly getting positive feedback about my organizational skills, even in my private life, like in my personal life, and then in my professional life, the organization skills show up as well as my communication skills. I think I might have literally went on Chat GPT and I was like what would be a good job for someone who's like really organized and is able to make a friend out of everybody and has great communication skills and like wants fresh work, like doesn't want to do the same job all the time. I really think that's how I got there. And so that's how I landed on project management. And I also like, this is just how my brain works, but I like something that has like definitive levels to the achievements. And what I mean by that is like you have like no project management experience, and then you're just part of a project. And then you get certified, and now you've got a little bit of street cred. Now you're a project manager and you're leading it. And then you can become like
Yep.
a program manager, or you can become like you can work in a PMO, like a project management office, and be like delegating the projects of other people. And so I just appreciated that. I felt like that was something that I could keep measuring myself against. Like one of the things I want to do this year is obtain a professional certification in project management. I'm saying that out loud, so it's an accountability measure, but that was really what drew me to the work.
I
And then
love
from
it.
there, I was able to connect with other project managers at Coca-Cola, find out about their experience, find out if what I was saying was making sense to them. And so it just kind of started to make sense for me from there. Does that mean I'll be a PM forever? Who knows? But it feels like a right next step for me.
I love that. And it almost feels like a natural flow, but I have to say as someone who uses ChatGPT for a lot, I love that that was part of your process of like,
Yeah.
hey, I know something needs to be next. Here's who I am. Objectively, with no bias, let me know what you think would be the like what a
Right.
phenomenal move. And I recommend our listeners to also just take advantage of like the tools we have. Like I think AI generally can be so helpful, even if it's just
Right.
organizing what you need to do in a day. And like the fact that you're organizing career moves with it, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I have to ask, you work at Coca-Cola. favorite Coke product?
It's when you work there and you start to understand the vastness of our portfolio, that question gets way, way, way harder. But if I
Okay,
was gonna say truly my number one favorite product is the winter spiced cranberry Sprite that comes out only around the holidays. It is so good. Like I'm a Sprite girly, but I look forward to November because I know that that one is gonna launch. But if I could give my favorite three products, I'm gonna ask for a little bit of grace.
go ahead.
It would be the winter spice cranberry
100%.
Sprite, the vanilla core power like protein shakes, the 26 gram. They are so good. And then smart water.
Okay, first of all, I did not know that Sprite was a thing.
See? Yeah, it's so good. And
Interesting.
it's only
I'm very
seasonal. You
intrigued.
got to get your hands on it.
Interesting. And then I'm a Fairlife girl through and through. I didn't realize Core Power was a Coca-Cola product. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what I like to do kind of at the end of every interview I've been doing is kind of a Miami rapid fire if you're up for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Basically, just quick answers, whatever comes to mind. But if you were back on campus for one day, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh. This makes me so nostalgic because some of this stuff I know I can't do anymore. But I would
I
go
will
get.
say previous guests have asked if they could time travel back. So
Okay,
if you want to
yes.
request time travel, I'll give it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm probably going to go. We're going to also pretend that it's Sunday because I want to go to super brunch at Western
Okay.
with my girls. I'm not sure if they do that anymore. And then I would go to King Library just for the vibes, right? Just to remember like how absolutely stressed I used to be
Aw.
there, just to be like, you're 19. This is not that deep. I would go see Randy Thomas, who was a great mentor of mine and I'm such a
Aw.
big fan of to this day. I would go to Farmer as well, and then probably go to So High and get a burger.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, So High was I don't think I've ever heard someone say like So High would be where they're going if
Really?
they
I
were
hope I
on
could go
campus for you. You're probably
uptown
the
because
first
you.
person I met. Oh yeah.
Okay, hopefully it's
Uptown's part
allowed.
of campus. I mean, not really, but it is. Yeah.
Yeah, all Oxford is ours.
So High shocked me. Was that your go-to?
Oh my god, love So High Down. Like those fries with the cheese. Oh my gosh, like please, so good.
I am shocked by that answer, but I do respect you. Okay. Okay, good to know. Now my next question was going to be your favorite dining hall. Is it fair to assume it's Western?
It actually would have been Bell Tower, to be honest. And so, rest in peace to a
Okay.
real one. We loved Bell Tower, especially that peanut butter and jelly bar, which of course I know we have too many peanut allergies now, so they have to shut it down. And I've had sunflower butter. It's not good. So it would actually be Bell. That was my favorite.
I didn't even know they had a peanut butter jelly. Why does that sound kind of like awesome?
It was amazing. You could get anything in it. It was so good. You could put anything inside your peanut butter and jelly. Like you could put bananas in there. You could put peanuts, like strawberries. Like it was amazing. You could do honey. I might have to make one today just out of respect.
I was gonna say a peanut butter with bananas. Like you said that, and like I think my stomach growled a little bit. Hopefully, it didn't catch on the mic. That's awesome. All right, let me think. What are other my? What's your if you went out at Miami, or if you had to go out at Miami now, what bar are you gonna hit up?
I'm sure they've renamed it, but Hole in the Wall was like such a fun spot when we were there. But of course, Brick. Like you just have to go to Brick for the vibes. So
Yeah.
it would be those two.
And the first part, I'm sorry, it didn't catch. What was the first one?
The first one back in my day was called Hole in the Wall. And I remember it was, I don't even know where it was.
Interesting.
It was always dark, but we would just go in and then go down this long stairwell and we were just in some basement. In college, you just have reckless abandon. But
100%.
it was a
I'm
fun
wondering
spot.
if it's now 1868.
Couldn't tell you.
No, okay, good. I see. This is why I love doing the alumni interviews because I feel like I walk away with so much like not saying historical knowledge, but low key
Ah,
historical
vintage.
knowledge.
Am I the History Channel?
No,
That is
you're a
hilarious.
2018 guy. It's not even like that.
I
But
know. That's coming up on 10 years.
yeah,
Crazy.
wait, that's crazy. I started my freshman year in 2019. That wasn't even that far away from each
Okay,
other.
yeah. Stop making me feel old.
No, but I'm like now I got to figure out what bar that was, but that's incredible. And just thank you for again being on, and I feel like you've shared so much in such a short time. If people want to connect with you, if people want to see you be great, this is just your moment. Any shameless plugs, any contact info that you want, I'm happy to put in the description of the episode. I don't know if people need to be hitting you up for Atlanta matchmaking, like totally up to you, whatever you want to
Woo,
plug or
child.
promote.
Folks are welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I am a social media addict in a very thorough kind of way. So I get on LinkedIn every day. If people want to email me as well, I'm happy to give you my email. It's not my Miami email anymore because they took it, but I respect that.
RIP.
Anything we can do to keep our costs down for current students, I support. But yes, happy to give you my LinkedIn, and folks are more than welcome to connect with me there. As you know, I'm happy to chit chat anytime.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Kayla. And
Yeah, it's been a blast.
I know I'm walking away with this with like a pep in my step. And so I hope our listeners are
It's
also
been
just
fun.
feeling the confidence, the joy, and just general encouragement you've been able to share by sharing your own career journey. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap on We Went to Miami. Like what you heard? Share it, sub it, hype it up. Till next time, love and honor.